got it?
Yeah, I got you.
MIAA Media Day today. Just kind of, first of all, just give us your quick thoughts on just the anticipation of the upcoming season.
Yeah, well, when they put the date out for Media Day, it's way down the road, and you feel like you got, some time, and all of a sudden it's here, and you know that once Media Day is here, then the next week practice starts, and we're back at it, and so a lot of preparation, all that stuff, but it's always good to be here at Media Day and see all the other coaches and some of the players that they bring with them, and just that, just that energy and that feel of like, football's right around the corner here, so it's good to be here.
Coach, I don't think it's a secret that you want more, school wants more, and I think it's hard to probably go from 3-8 to national champions. So what does success look like this season for Missouri Western?
Yeah, I mean we've got to. I mean, obviously we've got to win more games than we have been, but I think when you really look at it, and we spend a lot of time, trying to figure out, okay, where are the problems and what are the solutions, and obviously it's easy to find, the problems, when you're 3-8, but so we spend a lot of time on, what are the solutions, and I feel like we've done a really good job this off season building depth, and I talked about it a little bit in the press conference, but I think we ran into an issue last year where we didn't have depth to start with, and the injuries created more depth issues. You look at the secondary, last year, and early on in the season, you lose Jake Leader, and then all of a sudden you got to bring, you got to move, Trey Holmes back to safety, which, we really wanted to play him. So a lot of the things that we were kind of working towards, we kind of had to scrap and just kind of got into survival mode. The offensive line, you had the injuries with, you had, our sixth offensive lineman, was hurt before the season started. Keegan Daniel goes down. We lose Joe Turner at right tackle, and it just seemed like it kind of just kept compiling. Now, so you look at those things and you go, okay, well, if we can get those guys back, which we're on the right track and they'll be ready to go. And then you've created Adam Sotelo getting 9 games of MIAA play, and you've got Malachi that's now played a ton of MIAA reps. You've now built some depth where we can go into camp with some competition as far as, who is that fifth guy going to be? Who's the center going to be? And so, and I think we can look at it the same way in the secondary. And I'm really excited about just the depth that we have in the secondary. I mean, we lose a lot of guys. You lose Des Green, and we lose, Trey Holmes and, Cam Lee, all those guys that were playing there last year. But we weren't to the point where we had the next guys up, because we were just too young. And so now we're sitting here going, okay, we've been able to develop a bunch of guys the last few years. We brought in some transfers, TJ Tate, that's come in. We got Ken Charles Pierre, that just came in from Grambling. We've got just a number of guys, that Derek Robinson is in there. We got Mays Dogan, who was at Bowling Green last year. And so there's just a number of guys that actually have experience, in the MIAA or experience playing college football, along with the guys that we've developed. And so they're hungry, to do whatever they got to do to compete for a job. And we can find a way to maybe cross-train some guys and just figure out how to put the best people that we can on the field. So, to sit there and say that, what is success for us? That's hard to put a number, a record number on it. But I like our chances more than just because of the numbers that we have, the depth numbers that we have. So I think our staff has done a really good job. And I'll be honest with you, I think our training staff has done a really good job with the number of injuries that they've been working to get those guys, back on the field this year. So Brooke's done a phenomenal job, and Coach Bell, being a part of that coming in June, and being able to work those guys and get them so that they're game ready, by the time we get to, late August.
And I know Cliffy joked about the quarterback question, because and without, who's it going to be? And,
yeah.
What does the quarterback need to do in your offense for it to be successful?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, the quarterback, his job is to distribute the football. And so when we have guys that are open and we can get the ball out of his hands, then he needs to go pull the trigger and let those guys that catch the ball in space and that know how to make people miss and go up and get it, let them go do that. I think the thing with going into fall camp, I mean, right now we don't have a returning starter from last year. We don't, and so there is competition, but Isaiah's done a really good job coming in here in January, and I think the 2 freshmen that were here have done a really good job, and we brought in Skylar that has experience in our system, a similar system that he'll jump right into it, and so I think it makes the room more competitive, and then with Isaiah, I mean, the fact that he can take off and run and move the chains with his feet, I think also gives him a little bit of an advantage, and the fact that that he's come in here and has built relationships with the offense and really the team in the locker room. He's looked at as a leader, I'm optimistically excited about kind of what the leadership in that room is going to bring.
Is there another position group on the team that you're really excited about for the fans to see this year and that you're just hyped about?
Yeah, I think the secondary, I think I'm pretty excited about. They're long. We brought in some really young guys, from recruiting out of high school the last couple of years that have length, that they look the part. They're coachable. So that's one that this might be the most athletic and lengthy secondary that I might have coached ever. It's a really good looking group. The D-line, I think the D-line is, we'll be bigger on the defensive line. I think that probably wore on us a little bit. We were in some games, in the fourth quarter, I felt like maybe we just got worn down because we just weren't big enough. I felt like we were playing with Pitt for 3 quarters. And then it was almost like, okay, they're going to lean on us a little bit and wear us down in the fourth quarter, and we didn't have the depth and the size. We had some really good players, but I think we're going to be, we've got a chance to be 290 plus across the board this year, and a couple of those guys, pushing, around the 300 and 320s, 330, that sort of thing. So, and that was a point of emphasis that I told our staff, we need to get bigger up front. So I think the offensive line is going to be fun to watch because of some of those guys that got the experience, and I think there's going to be some competition. We were able to bring in 2 transfers mid-year, so those guys got a taste of what Missouri West. It's not like we got them in the summer and throw them in the fire.
Yeah.
They've been in our weight program. They've understand what nutrition's all about. They understand the schemes and going through spring practice. Willie Dukes is one of them. Chase Tapp is another one. Both junior college kids that are just great kids and hard workers. So, and then, even receiver right now, we've been able to add a few guys that this summer, a couple in the spring, but added a couple more this summer that kind of just to round out some of the size and the speed that we need to do or needed to get. So, I really like our team right now. So I'm curious to see how we respond. The thing about, you didn't ask this question, but the thing about college football right now is it's so transfer heavy that you can go get these kids and they look the part and they're all great, but when adversity hits or when the depth chart doesn't look the way that that they want it to look, or there's a little bit of competition, how are they going to respond? And I think we've got some just some the conversations I've had and some of the things that Coach Bell is putting them through as far as just adversity, trying to handle adversity has been really good. And so but they're all new faces too.
I was actually going to ask you about that off the record. Does the transfer portal, especially like quarterback wise, when you can just come and go as you want, would you change those rules at all? And how many times I guess a kid can transfer?
Oh yeah, you'd like to protect your program a little bit, Now they are, they've done some things as far as a month ago, 2 months ago, we didn't have a window, and now we have a window. So guys, it's a little bit harder for those guys to leave. But we get into coaching, long time ago we got into, because you want to develop players, you want to build relationships, you want to. I mean, some of these guys that I've coached for the last 25 years are guys that, that I still have a relationship with, and so now it becomes, wanting to put themselves in a better position, and they can do this. And a lot of times, it doesn't work out that way, and social media is probably, hindered that with what they see on social media, and I can do better, and I can do this, and I can do that, and that's why I brought guys like Connor Holt and Khalid, because they've been in our program, they've been through it, they stuck it out through some tough times, and for those guys, I want to make sure we have a good season this year, so that they have, that experience going through their last year, and to me, that's what's important. But it's, it's the world we live in, and we got to adapt. And when you lose a kid that's a junior, you can't replace him with a freshman. You got to go get a transfer to replace that guy, or else you're always going to be behind. So that's kind of what we've been able to do this year.
You guys are.